Hi everyone, welcome back to the Wonder of Anime. My name is Lisa and I am a multimedia content creator, and my work spans across my blog, my YouTube channel, and of course this podcast. This week I am so excited to have the lovely Phi joining me. Something that people may not know, this is actually the second time that we've worked together, but the first time was a disaster. We had a live stream where we actually had a lot of fun, but no one could hear the audio and we just scrapped it. But it was a lot of fun and I'm so excited to have her back this week. Phi's love for anime, manga, video games, horror, and community led her to explore the magic of cosplay and streaming. Diving into the world of content creation has allowed her to explore other opportunities, such as becoming a brand ambassador for Lanani, formerly Bad Waifu, co-host for A More Anime in Real Life, or IRL, a slice of life and romance anime Twitter space, and of course, a member of the Corner 5 Stream Collective. Phi, welcome! I'm so happy that you're here!
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me back, Lisa, because I know that you said when we were, after the hyperventilation mishap, we had a great time. It was a great conversation. I hate the folks couldn't hear it, but we enjoyed it. And
we had fun.
If nothing else, it allowed me to get to know you better and actually dip my toe, because I've never done anything like that. I remember when you put that in your Discord that you were looking for people, I was like, okay, I like Lisa and I like BL and I want to get out of my comfort zone. So I'll say yes. And so yeah, I'm just really happy that we got that opportunity. I'm just excited to be back.
Yes, I'm so excited. And it's so funny because you stream and you do things with your friends, and I feel like people think that's kind of the same thing as going on someone else's show or someone else's platform, and it's so different.
Mm-hmm.
You do get, because people are like, oh, how do you get nervous? You have your own podcast. I'm like,
it's not the same.
It's not the same thing. So I love that you said that, because I feel the same exact way when I'm in other spaces. But I'm so excited because you are going to be talking about an anime that I know nothing about, which is, wait, hold on, Barakamon. Barakamon. See, I don't be knowing how to say stuff. But you're going to be talking about Barakamon. But before we do that, I do want to dive into a little bit about you for those people who don't know, because I have listeners across everywhere, and they may not be familiar with all the things that you do. So if you could start us off a little bit about yourself, and specifically, you mentioned in your bio, you cosplay as well as streaming. So what is that about?
Yeah, so I think the full name is Phyfer Rage, but everyone has just, grown to call me Phi, which I love, and it's great. I really just enjoy gushing about things that I love, so that, my interests know few limits. So I love manga, webtoons, anime, comics, cartoons, music, horror, gaming. There's just so much. And so I found that the avenue to share that with people was to cosplay, and then eventually to stream, because it's cosplaying, when you post a picture, people are able to oh yeah, I love this character, or yeah, this, remember when this happened in the anime or in the manga, that was insane, when this character did this. And I just love those conversations, that engagement. And then with streaming, I was able to share my love of gaming, and also kind of share the message that you don't have to be a pro level gamer to stream. To me, it's about enjoying the game and enjoying what you're doing. And I think some people find comfort and enjoyment in watching you stumble and figure it out. You don't have to be. And that was one of my points of anxiety when I first started streaming. It was okay, I'm not top tier level gaming, but I love the game, and you're gonna be able to see that, and then to be able to take streaming and do other things. So recently I hosted a webtoon space where I had a couple friends from the community come in and talking about specifically Let's Play the webtoon, but then we just kind of dove into other recommendations. So yeah, that's what I spend most of my time doing. And then from that, I love, I've grown to love more fashion and looks and anime looks. My sister, she talks to me all the time. She's like, don't you have something that doesn't have anime on it? No, I do not.
Absolutely not.
And that's why I really love Lanani, because Linda is really good at taking anime inspired pieces, but making dresses and tank tops and bodysuits and purses and just so many different things besides a graphic tee. So I've been really fortunate to work with her and her team, and I look forward to doing more of that.
I love it. I love all that you do. And I actually go to your streams when you're not streaming scary stuff. Because Fabi be streaming scary stuff. And I know, like, you have a great personality and it's fun. But I ain't trying to be scared. Like, I'm just not. So I will tune in. I'll put it on in the background. Like, listen, you got a view for me. I'm there. I'll interact in the chat. And then it's like, all right, I got to go. Like, this I think the one stream you were doing The Last of Us, and I was like, nope, out. Bye,
No,
girl.
Those clickers are not for the weak. They're not for the weak.
No.
I understand. I get it.
It's absolutely like terrifying. But you have such a charisma and a personality when you live stream. Like, it's, to me, like, you have grown such a, like, you've grown your Twitch platform quickly, but loyal people. Like, you tune in and, like, the number of people watching makes sense in comparison to how many people are following you. You know, people be buying followers out here. But it's just like, and the chat is always popping. And I see, like, you know, when you tweet stuff, people are always engaging. And I think that's just a testament to, like, one, how fun you are. And it just comes across as you being yourself. Me having spoken to you offline, you know, and then witnessing your streams, like, there's not really a difference. You know, you're just playing a video game.
Yeah.
You talk the same, you act the same, your mannerisms are the same, and it's just like such an intimate vibe. Like, I was never somebody that was into streaming. Just never like found people that I like. I don't know, it's just not for me. But now I be chilling. Like, I feel like I'm hanging out with my friends.
Literally.
It's such a good vibe, and your community is like so fun to be a part of. So I feel like if anyone hasn't tuned in, you definitely have to check out her streams because they're so fun.
Thank you. And that's
You're just
really
the best.
thank you. That makes me so happy to hear. That's really what I want. Like, I started doing these things to engage with people, like, and to build community. So, like, I want you to feel like you're just like, you're kicking it, you know, with your friend and watching me act a fool playing these horror games.
and that, I feel like that's such an important thing. And I talk often offline about, like, building communities, because it's like, yes, like, Twitter's out there or whatever, and because a lot of people are on Twitter, like, in the anime or whatever community, and it's just like such a toxic place. Like, it can be very, like, you know, you don't really have that. Twitter goes down, like, you ain't gonna have those people elsewhere, whereas you kind of build your own thing somewhere else, you know, your community, and then you transfer that over to Discord, and it's like people feel safe and people have fun with, and that's so needed. We need more.
It's really crazy that you said it, Lisa, because we had a Corner 5 block party, and so you mentioned it earlier. It's a part of the streaming collective that I'm a part of with Simone, Courtney, Chris, and Sham, and we were just talking about just that, about how, like, the online Twitter community can be very toxic, but we feel like our little group of, like, streamer girlies, we're safe, and we feel good, and we're having a good time, and, like, it's just a different, like, a breath of fresh air, you know, when you're able to come and hang out with us. So yeah, we were literally just talking about that last night.
Listen, I saw it too, and I was like, damn, I gotta catch up on all my shows. My time is limited, but I have tuned in before, and they're a lot of fun. And it is just like a testament again to you and to the rest of the Corner 5, like how genuine everyone is. Like, people pull up and they want to have fun virtually, because it's like you feel like it's the same people online and offline. Granted, I haven't met any of you guys in person yet, but I feel it, like, you know, so it's there. And some of that, like, you know, that can't be like replicated, that can't be copied. They don't got the sauce. But I did want to touch on your cosplays a little bit, because that's actually when I started following you. And I knew of you because of Ari and Key, my best friends, and they knew you and they loved you and always talked about you. And you hadn't started streaming yet. You were about to, but, like, a lot of people knew you for your cosplays. So I did, we got into this before, but nobody knows. So if you could tell us a little bit about how you got into cosplay, and then, you know, posting that online and growing your platform that way before you were streaming.
Yeah, so my first cosplay was actually at a con, and back then I thought that cosplay was required. Like, that was really, like, you know, the norm. Like, you don't show up to a convention, like, people are cosplaying. Like, that's just how my brain, because I had never been, and nor did I really have friends that were, like, in the convention space or, like, really into anime. So that was just my preconceived. That was just like, this is what, so I got a cosplay.
Be like, get out of here, girl. You don't got a costume.
like who is this? Leave. You need to leave. So my first ever cosplay was Poison Ivy, and looking back at that photo, it's like, it's so cringe but also so cute. I was just so happy to be there. I actually took a bodysuit and glued on like ivy leaves on it, and then I had these tights on from Hot Topic that had like Batman symbols on the front.
You know, it makes sense.
And then I even had, so I was trying to give like the Uma Thurman, you know, Poison Ivy look. So I had a green cape, and really what it was given was Green Riding Hood, Poison Ivy. So that was my first ever convention, and that was the first time I ever cosplayed. But moving into cosplaying more often, I remember so I'm really into Marvel, and there was a sweepstakes that Marvel was having, and they were going to send a couple people to, I think it was either Endgame or Infinity War red carpet, and you had to like post all these things, you know, multiple times a day. And so back then, again, like I'm the only person that's into anime. I didn't want to flood my I was using Instagram more at the time. I didn't want to flood my Instagram page with all this nerd stuff, so I created a separate page to do it. And then obviously I was not obvious, but I wasn't able to go. I didn't get chosen to go to the red carpet premiere, so I was going to delete the page, and I was like, no, I'll keep it. And then thus Phyfer Rage was born, and I did my first like cosplay collab in through the pandemic. So that's when I really started cosplaying like at home and just kind of doing it for fun, and that's when I really started meeting people. So yeah, I really enjoy like closet cosplay, like seeing what you have around here and how you can like be creative, and like, you know, because if you have like a staple thing, maybe like the hair, the wig, or like some makeup, like people typically know who you are, even if the outfit isn't exactly the same. And that was always fun for me, and just kind of went from there. So like now I'm averaging like 3 to 4 cons a year, cosplaying almost every day, and it's a lot, but it's a lot of fun, and I love it so much.
I love that you love it. I love everything. I know people like, girl, you say you love it to everything. I do, because I do love everything. I have a big heart. But you know, it's so funny with that story where you like, obviously I didn't win, because it's hilarious, because the way you tell that story makes it sound like you won. Like, I would think that you won the sweepstakes, and you're like, obviously, I'm like, that wasn't obvious to me. I felt like heartbroken that you announced.
Well, the universe made up for it again through my love of cosplay. I was able to meet and get Chadwick Boseman's autograph. So I went to San Diego Comic-Con, I think it was 2017, and I went to a Women of Marvel panel, and out of nowhere, one of the panelists was like, is there anyone cosplaying as Ironheart in here? For those who don't know, Ironheart, Riri Williams, you know, that has the Iron Man moniker in the comics. And I'm like, present? And she's like, come up here. And then the next thing you know, I'm meeting Chadwick Boseman, and I have his autograph along with Letitia Wright and Winston Duke. That's the same, Winston Duke, and Baku. And so I was like, what? This is my first ever Comic-Con, y'all. Like, the first ever San Diego Comic-Con. And that is what I'm experiencing. So I wasn't able to go to the premiere, but I was able to have that happen to me. So, you know, it's a W.
And that's way better in my opinion. Like, especially, you know, rest in peace, because Chadwick has passed and stuff. Like, that premiere, you might not have met him, but you did meet him later. So I knew this story before, but I just think it's so like, it's such a cool fact. Like, it's so cool. Like, not many people could say that they've met like the actors and stuff, and just because you were there in cosplay, like, it wasn't like you was trying to get noticed or nothing. I'm so excited. And you just did a cosplay too. I don't know who it is, but you look real good.
Thank you,
I don't know what anime they're from, but it just, you was out in the, like, you Phi be going in, like, y'all don't know this, like, she's true to this. She be in the snow, she be mastering the elements to get these photos. You tweeted, you were like, damn, I don't like these pics, gotta go in the snow again. I'm like, damn, the commitment.
So the cosplay was S-Death from Akame Got Killed, which is one of the villains, but she a baddie, and she a blue hair baddie. So, you know, I'm rocking with her, and, you know, she has ice power. So I'm like, of course I have to go out and brave the harsh elements to get these pictures. And so I took them and hated them. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give me a day of respite, and then I'm gonna do it again. So Yeah, so I went outside and I did it again, and baby, it was cold. And so I'm looking at my pictures, and I got snot coming from my stomach. I'm like, oh no! So I gotta go inside, warm up, wipe my nose, go back outside, set up the tripod, set up my phone, and like try to look not cold. That was an issue too. Most of the faces I was making was faces of disgust because it was cold outside.
The dedication that you have. And it's so funny because I've done cosplay, not enough to write home about, but 2020, everybody was cosplaying. I think I did a good job. But once I took that cosplay off, I'm not putting it back on. Like, that wig came off, never again.
You're Itadori.
I do have fun cosplaying, but the minute that wig come off, like, I get so hot. And I'm like, because I'm like, I gotta have the lights and this and the camera and I'm like, okay, I do this for like an hour and I have given up.
Yep,
I'm done. But the fact that you went back the next day, and it speaks for itself. The pictures look great. I'm happy you gave it another chance because they worked out. It's been very cold. I think it's like 10 degrees right now.
When I took those pictures, it was 5 degrees outside. I'm not even exaggerating.
No, it's been so cold. Okay, but we're gonna get into why you're here. We just said this like 20 times, and I'm not gonna be able to say it again.
It's okay.
Barakamon.
Yep.
Barakamon. Mm-hmm. Why am I thinking like Barack Obama? Barakamon.
Even the way you said it.
Like, I can't. Oh my god, I'm the worst. I'm so sorry. But we're gonna get into the wonder of Barakamon. Mm-hmm. People gonna be so tired of me saying that. I'm not gonna say it anymore. But as I always do, I'm gonna give my history with this anime, which is none. I have no history with this anime. I have seen of it before. I've heard of it before. It's not something that I've watched. When I asked Faya to be on and asked her what anime she wanted to talk about, and she said this, I was like, oh, maybe I'll watch it now. I did not watch it now, spoiler alert, which is fine. I don't need to, because she's the expert. She's going to be the one schooling us on the anime. But yeah, that's I'm completely blind. I do know, like, obviously the synopsis. I did some research. I looked up the synopsis so that I'm not totally clueless. But it does have a lot of elements that I would be into. So I know this is going to be something that I will check out eventually when I'm done watching the other 30. I ain't even finished JJK yet. I ain't even finished Attack on Titan. And I'm emotionally scarred right now. That may not happen anytime soon. But that's just to say this, I'll get to this, but we don't know when. So, Fi, if you can tell us the wonder of Barakamon, let's just keep saying it. Let us know, what is Barakamon?
All right. So Barakamon was actually, the manga came out in 2009, and the author is Satsuki Yoshino. And I want to say that the anime dropped in 2014. It's a slice of life comedy anime, and it follows Seishu Honda, who was like an up and coming calligrapher, and he has a bit of an attitude problem, a little bit of anger issues, and that really shows up when he like decks out this critic who's like talking really bad about about his piece, which, don't get me wrong, like the critic was, there's a way to say things, and he was really going in on this piece that he's done put his heart and soul into. So that could be very hurtful, but the answer is not to punch people out, Honda. Let's be better. So because of that, his dad like banishes him to like the countryside of Japan, and he's there to do like some soul searching and really trying to like hone in on who he is as an artist and kind of get his attitude together. And so he's adjusting to like country life. He's from the city, and like what and the community that they have, like it's just a different way of things. Like people are just showing up at your house, and people are bringing you things, and like people are acting like just being really like friendly and familiar, which is really like uncommon to him. So yeah, and through that, like he's able to build community and do a lot of like introspection work, and I think just learn so many great, valuable life lessons. It's funny, it's heartfelt, it's thoughtful. Yeah, it's just really great.
That does sound so cute, and I love one of my favorite tropes is, I'm from the city, now I'm in the country. Like, I love that trope. Like, especially they had a bad attitude in the city. They got sent to the country to chill out. Like, that's such a common trope. But I love it because it'd be like, then everybody in the town's like, this city boy, you and your fancy Tokyo. And
you city slicker.
And they're like, we don't do that around her. Like, that's me. They just do the most. And I love, and that's why when I read the synopsis, I'm like, this is right up my alley, because I love, like, you going to the country and the country changing your life. Like, yes. you become a better person going back to your hometown or your parents' hometown. Mm-hmm. So how did you get introduced to this anime? Did you find it as an anime? Did you find it, like, previously when it was a manga before it was adapted?
So I don't know if anybody remembers this feature, but back in the day, Crunchyroll used to have a little paradise at the top of the website, and you click it and it puts a random episode on. Oh. It was Crunchyroll used to have a episode randomizer, and that's how I found Barakamon.
Crunchyroll, you listening? Bring
it back.
Bring that back. That is, I love that. Yo, I love the random, like, feature. Like, I don't know, what was it? Was it in my anime list? They used to have, I don't know if they still do, because I use AniList now, but they used to have something like that. I would just click. Like, what am I going to find something new? Did it land you on the first episode, or was it like a random episode?
Yes, it always, so I should say it's like a random, like, anime finder. So, but, like, you know, it starts you on the first episode, yes.
Oh, bring it back. Okay, we starting the campaign after this episode. That's so fun. Did you watch it in 2014, or what year was that?
So it was probably around 2014, 2015, because that's really when I was exploring more anime. So, like, you know, I think we all had similar, you know, situations where we started with Sailor Moon, Pokemon, DBZ or something, and didn't know it was anime until, like, later on. And then, you know, it just opens up a whole new world for you. And I was one of the ones, like, in high school, like, people weren't really talking about it or watching it, so I kind of kept it to myself. And then, like, once I got to college, it was like, all gloves are off, I'm doing what I want to do. And so I'm really just trying to find any and everything. And so yeah, when that Crunchyroll had the randomizer feature, I was just like, let's see what pops up. And I love the animation of the one in the first couple minutes, like, he's punching out that critic, and you're like, wait a minute now, and then he's getting the boot to the countryside. And so it really, you know, caught my attention in the first episode. So I was like, okay, let's see what this, and it's really short. It was like 12 or 13 episodes. So I'm like, yeah, let's just knock this out and see what it's about. And I loved it. I fell in love.
I love that. I'm just not. We need to bring that feature back, because I'm tired of people going online and being like, "What should I watch? Figure it out. Look at suggestions."
Flip a coin.
Why you gotta find out what Twitter thinks you should watch? Watch something yourself. That's a lot of fun. And so you're watching it. You're into it. When did you know that it was one of your favorite animes? Like, was it a certain episode? Was it, like, after you watched it? Like, when did it hit you? Like, okay, this is one of my top animes.
So I instantly, like, you know, I fell in love instantly, but then, like, after the end of it, it didn't, my expectations of it, it's just going to be, you know, some fun, quirky, you know, I didn't think that it was going to have so many, like, hitting home themes. So by the end of the season, I'm like, oh, okay, this is a nice surprise. And then, like, I know that something is, like, creeping into my favorites when A, I can't stop thinking about it, B, I'm doing more research about it. So at this point now, I'm researching the manga. I'm trying to figure out, like, what else is out there, what can I get my hands on. And then the rewatching happens, and then the purchasing happens. So, like, once I have to, because, you know, when you're a fan of things, you can just, like, buy. So I try to limit myself on, like, the mangas that I buy and the Blu-rays that I buy of anime, because I can go crazy. So, like, I only purchase things that I know that I love. So once I was like, yeah, I'm about to pull the trigger on on purchasing a Blu-ray and the rewatches, that's when I was like, yeah, this is, like, top 5 for me.
I think it's so funny you say, like, I only purchase what I love, and I'm like, oh, really? I don't understand that. But when you said about, like, doing the research, I'm somebody that is anime only first, and then I look at the manga, because I'm like that too. Like, the minute I finish an anime and I love it, I'm like, give me more. I'm on Reddit looking at what people were saying when it was premiering, even if it was 5 years ago. I'm on Tumblr. Let's look at all the gifs. Let's retweet this and requote it, whatever. Like, if this was 5 years ago, and then I'm like, I'm so excited to jump into the manga, because I'm like, like, even if it's one-to-one adaptation, there's something that hits different. Like, once you've watched it, then you're reading it. And that's such a lovely experience that there was a manga. Because there's been some heartbreaks when you fall in love with something that's anime only and it's original. There's no manga.
Free Iwatobi Swim Club, and I'll leave it at that.
Yuri on Ice.
Oh
my God. I'm never over that heartbreak. But something that you said, I feel like has been the theme of this season of the podcast about like when you watched it, the certain life lessons that hit for you. And I'm like always in my woo-woo bag. And I'm such a firm believer of like, you find, whether it's anime, media, books, like you find it when you're supposed to find it. And it's going to hit you like differently. Because it was meant to hit you at that point. Like, had you watched that at another time, those life lessons, it may not have hit the same. So I love that you said that, because I was like, that confirms my theories.
The dots are connecting.
Everybody, because I'm just like, especially like too, like when there's anime that people have tried, they're like, I tried to watch this before and it kind of didn't click, and then I gave it another chance, and it's like, yeah, because when you first tried it, it wasn't the stars were not aligned. It wasn't meant to be then.
It was meant to
but
be
it was meant
right
to be now.
now.
Yes, I believe that firmly. So now, you rewatch it often. You just rewatch some of it, to be back in your expert bag for this episode. What is it about this story that makes it timeless?
Really going back to the theme. So like we have within the anime, we're talking about community. We're talking about self-discovery, self-love. We're talking about, meaning and just what it means to exist. I was going to talk about it a little bit later, but I think something that it really like shows is that mundane life, it's enough. Like I think a lot of anime, we expect a big like development, a big like change in this person. And don't get me wrong, he does change gradually, but at the end of the season, you're just like, wow, he's just, really enjoying his life and enjoying the people that he's found and what they brought to him, and that's okay. Like he's also been able to open his mind to his art, and that's plenty. So I think that's what makes it timeless, because I think we're constantly trying to figure out and really dissect what it means to be a part of community, what it means to find your place in the world, what it means to be creative. And like creativity is like it's not always this big thing. Sometimes it's really, really small, but it just means so much in that moment. So I think that's what makes it timeless, is that there's themes that carry on that we continue to talk about and circle back around in conversations.
What you said about the one theme with it, like, big things don't need to happen like every day. I think that goes back to why I love the like going back to the country trope so much, because it is like a slower life. And I think in talking in like real life, like a lot of people think like they have to have exciting things happen every single day, and like they have to be doing big projects or big excitements. Everything is like this big thing. And like the older that I get, I feel like my life being stable and just like predictable in certain senses is the best of my life. Like these last couple years where I'm like settling in is like some of the best years of my life. Like, not to say like the stuff before, all the excitement, young, going out, doing this, like that's not, not to say like that wasn't fun, because it is. But like now I'm just like, I get so much pleasure from the everyday, from my routines. And it makes sense when you think of a trope like that. Like sometimes you do need to go back to the country, whether realistically or metaphorically, and slow down.
Yes. And I really resonate with that, because I don't know if I've shared with you, I think I haven't. My dad is an Angus beef farmer, so I actually grew up on a farm, and it's very similar to like my neighbors. My dad knows all of them. Like they're very willing to come like help out. They'll just come and like, hey, how you doing? Check in on you. And so yeah, that really resonated with me. But I also like I'll come home and like I'll sit down and like sometimes I need to do it more often, but I'll just be like I'll look up and I'm like, I'm sitting here on my comfy couch watching anime. I have a decent job. I'm able to like fund my lifestyle, and I'm okay. I'm okay with that. So
yes, that part, like just being, and like that, I just, we take that so for granted. We as a society, not me and you personally, but like it like you're home and you're able to like watch what you want to watch, play video games. If you're lucky, you have a community online, and it's like that really is what makes life like your life. Like, it's not always going to be this like, go and I'm doing Paris. I don't know what big exciting events people think, or like always being involved in something and always doing something. And it's like, we need to like not take what we have for granted. And that's just love that this, like, that's how I knew I was gonna like this anime, when I like had that like that theme, especially when you mentioned too about being creative, because I feel that way in terms of like when I'm consuming I'm doing the most. This is what happens when you talk with your hands. When I'm consuming way too much, like, this is why I don't have TikTok on my phone. But if I'm like on Instagram too much or TikTok, like, I lose all creativity. I can't think of things that I want to do. I can't think of writing. I can't think of editing. And it's like the minute that like I unplug and disconnect, it's like the floodgates open and I have so many more ideas or things that I want to like do and explore. But it's like I had to like purposely and intentionally like remove myself from like all that outside noise. And I think like that in that anime, like him going to the country, like he's removing the noise of his daily life and honing back into his calligraphy and what he, you know, what it is for him.
For sure. For sure. Love it.
It's just, I'm about to watch this right now. Let's end the interview.
I'm about to watch it again.
So with the show and, you know, because you've gone online, you've done research. I don't know what the Barakamon Hive looks like. I don't know, you know, what the fandom is out here. But if there are conversations about it, what do you think, or if maybe people are judging it without giving a chance, what do you think is something about the anime that people get wrong in conversations about it or their judgments about it?
Yeah, so for the most part, like the Barakamon community is like very wholesome, very just like, we love slice of life. This is really great. But in some conversations, I have heard that like the side characters didn't really get any development, and specifically, so I didn't really mention, but there's like a child that really, you know, she calls him sensei, just comes over all the time, and you know, and that Naru, her name is Naru, that Naru specifically was just there for Honda's development. And I personally don't think that's true. I think that it's very subtle, because it happens quickly. There's this one kid, he's a high schooler, and you know, he's very rebellious. He's dyed his hair. He's not doing really well in school. Like, he doesn't really know where he wants to go in life. And he's also he's very jealous in a way of Honda. Like, he's coming in and like his parents are like making him food and like sending him to deliver the food, and he just doesn't understand like, what's the big deal about this city slicker? What's the big deal? And maybe like, you know, pretty early on, you see him wanting to be better, to better himself simply because he's around. And like, he says that to him, like, you know, like, you make me want to like figure out what I want to do after high school. Like, I think I want to go to college, and I want to be more than what I am right now. That's development. So even if it was just in that one sentence, that's development. And then Naru as well, you know, that she's kind of like the secondary character that we see the most of, and just how, you know, she is able to open up, and she's a firecracker. She's already like a free spirit, but you do see her like change and grow. Again, it's very subtle. So, I mean, so that's just my personal opinion. I feel like they do the side characters very well. They're fun. The dialogue is great, and there is development, and it's not just for the sake of Honda. So I think it's something that people get wrong.
I think sometimes with side characters too, if like, this might not be feasible for everyone, but sometimes I feel like a rewatch really helps with like identifying a character's role or what their progression is, because I feel like when you first watch anything, you're very like zoned in on the main character, and like, you're like, this is about them and everything that serves them. So you're not really paying attention to the other characters and like what they could possibly be going through. I know that like happened with me with Yuri on Ice, because I first saw it, absolutely fell in love with it, but I really hated Yurio, the other Yuri. And then I rewatched it, and I had like a complete, and I don't usually rewatch. That's something newer, I will say, that in my adult life, maybe in the last 2-3 years, where I've started rewatching stuff, and not just anime. Like I would never rewatch anything, and now I can read a manga 20 times. I could not before rewatch it. But now I have a really good appreciation of rewatching stuff, because you just pick up, like, every time you watch it, you notice something different, because you kind of know what's going to happen. And then you're like, wait, I actually didn't notice this was happening on the sidelines, or this was happening in the background. So maybe those people need to rewatch it.
No, and that's happened to me. I remember when the first time I watched Nana, and then when I watched it when I was a little bit old, I loved it then, but then I watched it again when I was older, and I was like, I have a whole new perspective on this anime and these characters, and Sailor Moon as well. Every time I rewatch Sailor Moon, I feel like I get something different out of it, and I look like a yearly rewatch. I watch Sailor Moon at least once a year.
I was just telling Victoria on my episode with her. I was like, I haven't rewatched it since college. And Nana too. Like, I watched Nana when I was in college, and I remember watching it. Then I ran and read the manga, because the manga only goes a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you, like, did I get amnesia? I don't remember anything. Like, I see people talking. I know Simone, our mutual friend, for those who don't know, she was just retweeting some of her old tweets about Nana, and I'm like, who is this character? Like, I know it's like a staple for women, and it's not like I haven't watched it. I just do not remember. Mm-hmm. That's one. But I feel like too, I watched not again back to like stuff being like when you're supposed to watch it. Like, I watched Nana when I was their age. So a lot of the actions, a lot of the stuff, like, I was like, well, you know, mm-hmm. I get it, girl. I see you. I feel you. And now I'm like, I'm about to be 31. Like, can I watch this with those same eyes and not be like judgment? Because especially too, seeing like some of my peers and their threads, and like I know if they have like a similar mindset as me, I'm like, sometimes it'd be painful. Like, we watching people make mistakes. You're like, no.
I want better for you, please.
I want you to do, especially, I know, like, I mean, I guess this is a spoiler, but for Nana, like, it's where the anime leaves off when she's, like, pregnant from that guy. And I'm just like, no.
Count your days, Takumi.
And I'm like, and I wanted her with the other guy, but then people were like, he was bad for her too, and I was like, oh, I thought they were cute. The friend, mm-hmm. I think the younger guy, I don't know. So, but
I want a Hachi to choose herself. That's what I want.
You know. See, now that I'm older, that's definitely my perspective. Like, I would be like, girl, you're 20. Like, get away from these men. You know that meme that was like, get away from her. Like, that's how I feel. Watching oh my god, it's certain things too where I'm like, you know that anime Kimi ni Toroke? Mm-hmm. I have tried to watch that, and I know it's like a prized possession in the community for the shoujo girlies. I just can't. Like, I missed it when it was in high school, and mm-hmm. like I tried to watch it like 2 years ago. And then there was like a scene in like episode 5 where she's letting herself get, but I'm like, girl, stand up. I turned it off. I was like, I can't watch this. I'm not there anymore.
Listen, that's okay. There's some things that's just not for everybody. My Little Monster, been trying to watch that for a while, and I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna try again. But when I first watched it, I was like, no. Turned it off.
I watched that recently, like maybe in the last 2 years. I have a whole video about it because I have something that I felt like was so promising. Like, I'm not, I hate to be one of these people, but I'm telling you, you're not missing much. Like, it started out, that first episode was, I thought it was really, really good and exciting. The rest of the show ain't like that. And they don't even make, like, I think it's worth watching because I feel like, again, there were some other developments that I think, like, they played out in the manga that kind of hinted at the anime, but, you know, mm-hmm. they don't ever continue the anime. But I was like, this main storyline, like, what happened? I've never been more confused in my life. But I get it. Like, it's just, sometimes you're just not there. And when you're not there, you just can't get into it.
Don't force it. It's okay. Just move on. Just move on to another one.
Speaking of moving on, you like the segue? When you think about, you know, you talked about the people thinking that the characters the side characters don't have development, but they do. But what is an unpopular opinion that you have about the show in general, that you think people may not agree with you on?
I think a lot of people would categorize this anime as a story about struggle. I disagree. Don't get me wrong, there is struggle that takes place within the story. There's, internal struggle, like, Honda's been doing calligraphy for a certain way for so long, and then, like, to be smacked down, it's almost like being told to be something other than yourself, right? But when you put your art out there, you get feedback, you got to be open to stuff like that. But, and then, of course, there's, like, the struggle of adapting to country life. So there is struggle within it, but to me, Barakamon is a love letter. Like, I think of it as, like, he's older and he's telling his kids about, like, the love that he found from that city. And so, like, I think about, like, the love of calligraphy, the love of the community, the love of just mundane life. And I don't think that struggle is prominent enough to call it a story of struggle. I really think it's about self-worth, self-meaning, self-love, self-discovery, like really just like figuring out who you are. And even outside of calligraphy, I think as soon as Honda gets there, maybe like the second or third episode, like he just goes crazy. He just it's like a show of freedom. Like he just goes crazy with the brush and does something that he would never do if he was preparing for an art show. And like you just see him, like he's like laughing, almost kind of like, insanely, but not really. Like it's like freedom. Like, wow, like I would never have done this at home. So that's what I think would probably be my unpopular opinion, is that it's not a struggle story. It's a love story.
When you said like it's a love letter, that's like my favorite way to describe stuff. So I was like, this is why we here, because I love when I do think things are a love letter. But I really appreciate that framing too, because there's so many, again, I have not seen this, but from your expert opinion, there's so much beautiful things out of the story. And then it's like, I feel like that always happens where it's people's like, this is a story about pain. This is a story about grief. And it's like, but what are they getting on the other side of that? Like, it's not just that. And the struggle, like, it's so painful. Like, it is really to capture all that development and just say it's him struggling. But like, okay, what happened after the struggle? Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't even consider, like, people like, oh yeah, he got kicked out. His father is still very much in his life and like did that for his own benefit. So it wasn't like there was like a strain on the relationship, and it's not like he went out there with no money. He's just adapting to a new way of life and just a new way of living and thinking. So even that, to me, like, yeah, that may be an inconvenience, a bit of a nuisance, but it's not struggle.
Right? He was like, take this box and live out under a bridge, son.
This man got a whole house. He got a whole house, plenty of space. It can paint so his heart, collapses. He's all right.
Yeah, he ain't out here. Sometimes I feel like us having this conversation on the previous episode of the podcast with One Piece, and it's like, do we be watching the same thing? Do we be, when you see people that, like, obviously everybody's entitled to their own opinion,
yes,
but when you see like opinions that just like, you're like, come on now, like, you did not, especially when it's your fave, you're like, you didn't watch this, mm-hmm. you didn't pick it up, or you were just trying to complete it and not get what the story is about. Mm-hmm. But that makes me excited, because I love a story where someone's like, you need to go to the country and get your shit together, mm-hmm. and I'm gonna get you this house. We suddenly had this house in the country, like, you're gonna have all of these amenities. Figure it out. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited to. I might bump this up. I mean, I think it is only 12 episodes.
It's short.
I might have to bump it up and then do an update like this. But I also too like that I don't know it, because it's like, it's so good to hear. You sound so convincing. Like, I'm like, yes.
And that's part of the reason why I chose it, because originally, like, if people ask me, like, my number one anime is always going to be Sailor Moon. But I'm like, I had a feeling that she was going to have Victoria on, and I knew she would do Sailor Moon. And I feel like Barakamon is just so slept on and so underrated. And I want to, like, share the wealth. I want to put people on. Like, please, let me help you. Help me help you. Watch it.
Yes. And that is my goal or my hope with this series, as well as just one, I love hearing people talk about anime and the good and how excited and what they love about it, because people just are so happy, and I love happy people when you're talking about your favorite things. But also, like, give people something new, like if they maybe thought about watching it, or this is not on their radar at all, they didn't even know about it. Now you hear someone gushing about it, you're like, might as well check it out. Like, what is this? So I'm hoping that we can convert people. But as we're wrapping up here, I know you mentioned that after you watched it, you did all this research. Are there any like fun facts or anything that you discovered since watching the show that you'd want to share about it, or the manga, or the creator, or anything like that?
Yeah, so I didn't mention, but it was actually animated by, I want to say, Cinema Citrus. It's spelled with the K, so I don't know if it's supposed to be cinema, but that's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm saying. So Cinema Citrus, who also did like Made in Abyss and Shield Hero, The Rising of the Shield Hero, and the beloved My Happy Marriage. So yeah, so I was like, okay, I slept on, because a lot of the other titles like I really didn't like recognize for real. Okay, so that's I love that. But also there is a prequel manga that came out after Barakamon, and that really follows Honda as like a high schooler, and there's also like some kind of Easter eggs that lead the kind of like, it isn't like directly tie in because he's a high school. I think it's happened 6 years prior. 6 years before he goes. But there is like a couple characters that like show up later in Barakamon, which I think is really cute. I personally prefer Barakamon over it. The title is called Honda-kun, but it's another wholesome story that I really enjoyed.
That's always, prequels to me are always very interesting, because I feel like chronologically you would like, oh, I want to read this first, but it comes after like the main story. But then my mind is like, but this was before, or like it's prequels always like I have a weird relationship with them. But I did, when I had looked it up on Annie List, I did see that there was like it said prequel, but I didn't know that it came out like they made it after, right? Like it's so like. This is so out here. But I can't thank you enough for sharing this joy of this. Like I said, I really mean it when I said I'm going to check it out. I wanted already to check it out, but like, and me and you, we have such similar tastes with so I know we like here.
When I knew that you like Yuri on Ice, I was like, we're locked in, because I am a history maker. Okay?
Listen, I can't, because I'm gonna get emotional, and then I'm gonna fly to Japan and beat Mappa up, because where
is the movie?
Speaking of prequels,
where's Adolescence?
Like, Yuri on Ice made Mappa, and y'all gonna disrespect. You literally said that Yuri on Ice funded the studio to be what it is today, and y'all gonna disrespect it and not put it out?
Criminal.
Although I have some theories that I'll talk about offline on why I think they keep pushing it back. But anyways, before we get on to the Wonder of Yuri on Ice, and that one, I was like, I have to have that episode off limits, because I might just do a solo episode and cry about Yuri on Ice for hours.
See, we be here because I was going to choose Yuri on Ice, and I was like, something tells me that Lisa is not going to want to like have that conversation within an hour or so on the podcast. So maybe I shouldn't pick that one. I was really racking my brain. I'm like, okay, think like Lisa.
It's so funny because I asked you really, really early on. Like I asked you before I had some of the other episodes recorded. So what I started doing to people after I asked is I have a list of anime that you can't do, and it's people. It's not. I mean, it's getting longer because I'm having more guests. But Yuri on Ice is on there, and so is Given. Given, because I have like a video series on Given, and I'm also convinced I'm gonna write a thesis on Given, because I just have so many feelings. But Yuri on Ice, the thing with Yuri on Ice too is like I watched it. Like, I don't watch stuff for content, but I specifically like Yuri on Ice felt so special to me, and when I watched it, like. This phrase, I know it's overused, but it really mean it. Like, it altered my brain chemistry.
No,
like, I
real.
felt like a new person. And it was so special to me that, like, I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, I don't want to, like, I'm not there yet. And I've rewatched it, I think, like, 2 or 3 times since. Because I saw it also pretty recently. Everything that happened in 2021 is, like, or 2020. I'm like, that's recent. I mean, I guess it is. It feels like 10 years ago, too. But Yeah, I was like, I cannot, like, I'm not there yet. Because I'm very emotional. That's also why I haven't finished Attack on Titan. Like, I don't have that much left, but I'm too emotional. But for real now, as we are wrapping up, and I hope you know this is all being kept in because I love a side tangent. I do the minimum of edits. But, you know, as we're in a new year, we're 2024, what do you have planned that you could tell the people that we should be looking out for in all things Phyfer Rage?
Yeah, so the anime, more anime IRL space actually just kicked back up from our about a month break, and we're really looking into doing more like rankings of like anime couples. And we saw this one poll, and they had like Toru and Kyo from Fruits Basket at like number 8, or like number 8. It was like, I don't think it was the top 10, and I was like, this is criminal. This is criminal. And they had like jobless reincarnation couples who weren't even really a couple for real, like at the top. No. So we was going to redo that and do it right. But I really just enjoy working with those women, and we have a great time talking about like fantasy, slice of life, romance, which I feel like are like very, even though the shoujo girlies, you know, we're here, we're prominent, but I feel like there's still like so much that isn't talked about, and I just love that I feel so seen with them. So definitely more of that. We have a space on Saturday, every other Saturday at 2 p.m. CST. That, and then if this is like my first time really kind of like planning out cosplays, so I'll go ahead and say I think my next cosplay is going to be Domino from X-Men, but also the Deadpool version. I was recently diagnosed with vitiligo. I don't know if you can see right there, my little spot. And I'm trying to do like embrace it more. And I'm like, you know, why not just do a Domino cosplay? So
that's awesome. Not that you got diagnosed. Like, I don't be like, yay, vitiligo. But that you're, you know, embracing it and doing that cosplay. I wouldn't even have noticed. Is that like prompted you to get checked? Like, you were like,
yeah, I noticed I thought, here, this is so funny. Please, y'all, don't judge me. Sometimes when things are happening, but I just thought that my lips were peeling. Like maybe my lips were like dry. So I took a lip scrub and was just
and like, let me get it together.
And nothing was changing. So I was like, And my sister was like, have you seen like, and I was like, yeah, I haven't thought anything of it, but there's vitiligo in our family. And I was like, I guess I should go to the dermatologist. And so, yeah, they confirmed it. And it's been really hard because I genuinely think that vitiligo is beautiful on everybody else, but it's been really hard to accept it being a part of my story and my journey, and just like thinking about how I would feel if it grows and takes over more parts of my body. But kind of like going back to like the things of Barakamon, I'm just trying to be in the present and really just love myself through it. Like, I'm still going to be me, and I'm sure I'm still be beautiful regardless of what happens. So I'm kind of annoyed though. It looks like I'm missing spots in my lipstick. Like, I wonder if people like know there's vitiligo. I'm like, she like, dang, she don't know how to apply makeup. No, it's vitiligo.
No, I mean, it's something that I feel like it does happen to people as they age. And it's like, it's so weird. I've done like research on it because I find it like fascinating. And then some people like it reverses. Like,
it can, yeah.
Like it can reverse. But I love that you're like embracing it. Not that like you have to, like people are like, oh, you're so inspirational, you're embracing it. Like you can feel whatever way you want to, but I like to, especially with your visibility and streaming and cosplays, that it is something that you're going to be incorporating with it as well. Because a lot of people, you know, can count on one hand people with vitiligo. Michael Jackson, Winnie Harlow. Yep. Like, that's it. Like, I mean, I could think of some other people, I don't know their names, so it's not something that, especially, you know, in the Black community, like that people talk about, and it is something that comes with a lot of complicated feelings. Like, it's not something people are like, yay, or, you know, so I appreciate you for sharing that with us, because I do think, you know, as fun and, you know, lighthearted as we are, I do think that vulnerability is really what ties people when they think of their favorite content creators, their favorite people. It's like what makes you human, and you share that with people. And I'll be sure to have all of Phi's links, as always, in the description of this episode, of the YouTube video. You'll know everywhere she is, because I'm going to put them links on there. And I just want to thank everyone so much for watching another episode. If you're watching on YouTube, which you should be because we look really, really good. Like, girl, I be coming on here, no makeup, just wowing people.
And do.
Fi out here looking fine. We got all these Easter eggs in our background, so I hope you're watching on YouTube. But if you're not, if you're listening, if you're on the car, stay on the road, drive straight, and make sure that you tell somebody to listen to this. Tweet it out, put it in your Instagram stories. I've been telling people to print it out and put it at the bulletin board at Walmart. I see them there. Like, I know the bulletin board is still a thing. Let's bring those back. Like, do you remember the MySpace bulletin board and people just post?
Yes.
We're bringing them
We're
back.
We're losing recipes. We need the bulletin board back. We need randomizers on Crunchyroll back. Bring it back. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it.
That's where we're ending. That's the theme. Bring back the recipes. We're losing the source. We're losing the sauce. But thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace out.